What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Welcome, welcome, welcome to a special edition of Out the Box TV, Out the Box Talks. I am your host, Krill. I know it's been a minute, more than a minute, right? Some months that I have not been on the channel. This is a special episode. I just want to say thank you to all of the people that's been rocking with me from the beginning of Out the Box TV to the last few years where I've done like a lot of consistent interviews and consistent episodes as well, man. I had to take a break because of other priorities that came into my life. And honestly, I really needed to take that break just for my own personal self, you know what I mean? So, I'm looking at, potentially starting episodes back again, but I'm taking my time with it. But this particular episode was fitting because the brothers that I'm going to have joining the show with me today, we always talk when it comes to this particular artist and his albums in the past couple of years. So that is the new Nas album, King's Disease 3, right? So since he put out King's Disease 1 with Hit Boy, we've done a panel review show. And I just felt like it just made sense for me to get my brothers back on and let's chat about this. You know what I mean? So I was thinking of trying to do it last week, but things came up. But, I talk with these brothers on a regular, we text about things happening in the hip hop community, new hip hop releases. So it was only fitting that I got them back. And in tradition, we do a review show. So I want to thank them in advance for coming on the show. You know what I mean? And I'm going to introduce them and bring them in shortly. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, it's been a lot going on in hip hop. There's so much that I have to say, but I'll keep it short and say, listen, if you want to stay connected consistently with what I've been doing in terms of, promoting hip hop culture and what's happening, particularly in the underground, definitely visit the website, outtheboxmedia.com. As you can see in the top, in the overlay, it says outtheboxmedia.com. That's the blog site. That is where I'm consistently making posts pretty much on a daily basis. Also subscribe to the website, the blog site, because every week I do a best hip hop album of the week based on, my opinion of what I think is dope out there. And also, I also do like a weekly recap. So if you want to stay connected with what's happening as far as brand new creative and conscious hip hop, then definitely hit up the website, outtheboxmedia.com, and subscribe for free so that you can keep updated with all the stuff happening. So that's what's been going on with me since I haven't been on the channel. So I have not stepped away from hip hop, but I've been primarily focused on pushing the blog. All right. So, man, I want to not keep it going too long, and I want to bring my brothers in. Well, one of my brothers, he's backstage. My brother, he's been rocking with me for a long time, since the beginning of Out the Box, and I'm so grateful to still have him rocking with me and holding it down for this show. So I'm gonna bring my brother in, who I got much love and respect for. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the Out the Box channel, Out the Box TV, Out the Box Talks, my homie, my comrade, my brother, a level. What up, what up, what up?
Yo. It's the A. It's the A Love back, coming from the land of out there. You know
Word. Shout out to Solutions. Hey, man, I'm happy to be back, man. Thanks for commenting, man. Yeah, I know we don't have a lot of people in here now, but the few people that's in here, man, we appreciate you for real. The little bit I appreciate, yo. It's cool to see people that have been following the channel for a long time, just remembers me when I come back on this, special episode. So yeah. A Level, what's good with you, man? How's everything?
Everything is good. For all of those who may or may not know, you might be seeing my face for the first time. I am A Level the Wiz. You already know what it is. Um, I've been collaborating with my good brother Corey Cril for a
Mhm.
minute, for like 13 years in this. You
Shucks.
know, collaborating on this platform, uh, countless classic episodes that we had, everything from Gregory Porter to uh, K Dot when he was only a double XL freshman. You know what I'm saying? Bilal, Roy Ayers. Uh, we've done some great work with Large Professor. You know, premiered. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm just so happy and I'm so blessed to say that I could still be here, producing content with this gentleman right here.
Word. Likewise, man. As you mentioned those past interviews that we've done, I sometimes forget some of all of the interviews that we've done in the past, man. So for those that don't know, it's in the archive. It's right here on YouTube. I've been on YouTube before a lot of people that is on YouTube, right? So, yeah, definitely go check out those archives, man. A lot of those pieces are not just interviews. They're like, in my opinion, especially when I was crafting them, they felt like mini documentaries to me because I put a lot into you know creating the visual of the interview with the B-roll footage and the music videos and all the other stuff. So yeah, man, go check that out. It's up there on the channel for you to check out. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I want to talk about the topic of the day, man. This new album by Nas entitled King's Disease 3. Let me put up a banner on that. Forgot to put up a banner. But yeah, man, it came out November 11th. In fact, a lot of albums came out on November 11th. I mean, I'm looking back in this past week, and from that Friday all the way up to probably like the Wednesday or Thursday, we kept getting dope hip hop releases. So even though this segment or this episode is specifically about this Nas King's Disease 3 album, I gotta say there were a lot of dope projects that came out, especially in the independent hip hop scene. And if you want to catch that, go to the blog outtheboxmedia.com. But we're gonna be specifically talking about King's Disease 3 A Level. Talk to me, brother. When you heard this album, what was your first thoughts, man? Because we know we got KD2 and we got KD1, within the last couple of years. But I mean, how did this album hit when you first heard it?
Oh man, it's a dope legacy. You know what I'm saying? Another dope legacy added to the storybook of hip hop. You know, the dope collaborations between Nas and Hit Boy. Hit Boy is my new favorite producer right now. You know what I'm saying? Just from what I was able to see him get into his sample game, like he's shown me a lot. You know, I knew what he was capable of on keys and the trap and the drill stuff. You know, but
Mm-hmm.
this project right here has brought the best out of both of them. You know, it's challenged, Hit to see what he could go for as far as the soulful type of sound,
Mm-hmm.
with the sampling, and Nas to see if he can come out of his area and come into the more what they would like to see, more millennial Generation X type of sound right now. So with that, we've gotten some dope hip hop. KD1, phenomenal. KD2, even greater. Uh, I would say KD2 is probably my favorite out of the series, because of consistency, continuity, you know, beats, rhymes, everything. KD3, it's always a breath of fresh air whenever I hear it. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually still digesting it right now. But all I can tell you about KD3 right now is legit. Yo, when I heard that, I was like, yo,
I like
my
that record
man
too.
used the 5 heartbeats, the favorite part of the entire movie,
Right.
and stretched that into a sample, man. Oh
Oh
man.
man, it's dope how you notice the samples, man.
It's
I wouldn't even notice that. Yeah.
he stretched that into a sample. I mean, that whole part where Eddie Kane comes in and
Right.
just
Right.
takes the mic, you know.
He mentioned Eddie Kane, right, in that song.
Eddie Kane.
That's dope.
Eddie Kane, and then he flips it from that beat into another beat. And like he hit, that's what I love about Hit is he doesn't give you just this typical listening experience, right? He gives you like different movements in one song. Like he give you like 2 or 3 different movements in one song. Like it's
Yeah.
just so entertaining just with that alone. Then
Yeah.
you got Nas slamming you with more stuff with the lyrics, so you get a real hearty meal when these two come together. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have to take your time and go through the material. You
Right.
know,
Right. Right. You know what's so dope too is like the album came out the day that Black Panther 2 came out. And one of the first lines on that song legit is
yeah.
we coming blacker than like Black Panther 2.
Woo.
That was dope, man. Yo, so let me bring my brother Mark in, man. He's in backstage, man. So we are very happy to have him here, man. Another solid out the box supporter and just a comrade, a good
Yeah.
homie, man, to have on the squad, man. So let me bring in brother Mark, man. What's good? What's good? What's
What's
good?
up, y'all?
Yo,
How
yo,
you
yo,
doing,
yo,
brother?
yo,
I'm good, man. It's been a minute.
yo.
Indeed.
The Funk Doctor.
Sorry, man. I missed the sound check.
It's all good, man. You know, it's a pleasure to have you here. I know it's been a long year. I think the last episode we did was like when like all 3 of us was the Black Star album, and that was what, like sometime in March.
Wow.
And it hasn't even been a full year, but it's felt like a full year for
It
me.
felt like a while ago, bro.
Like a long time.
I tell you,
Word.
my StreamYard settings felt like it was a full year because I was having, I was struggling trying to get in. But yeah, man, this is, I mean, this, that's all. That's what we do. We just, we're not here for every album, every little release that comes out, just the major ones, really. So I like that, and
Right.
albums like this, plus albums with also like heritage and a backstory. Obviously, the Black Star album had a backstory, and this KD3 album had a few different backstories and 3 different albums. But yeah, I'm glad to be here and chop it up with y'all.
Likewise, man. Glad to have you here. So yeah, I was just asking A-Level like what his initial thoughts were when he first heard King's Disease 3, which came out on November 11th, man. So I'll throw that question to you, man. What was the feedback like for you?
I mean, in the beginning, it was, Hit Boy to me is just like he's like the master of disguises, man. He has so many different styles and so many different angles he could come at records. And I felt like in the beginning, those first 3 albums, the first 3 tracks, Get a Reporter, Legit,
Done.
What was that? Dunny? Yeah. That was the ode to the New York style of boom bap. And I was like, wow, he really changed up his style. Of course, he got back to, to diversifying more, but it was a strong, I mean, even Get a Reporter, that was that opening track had the energy to it. It was short but sweet, set the tone. And Hit Boy, I mean, he even had some joints sounding like Premier and a couple sound like I felt like the Eddie Kane joint, the legit could have been like a little Pete Rock reference with the rolling pianos and or like Motown flavor to it. So I mean, yeah, definitely, you could see that the chemistry was back, and they definitely were back in the bag. So I was real pleased with the opening of the opening album. Even going into like I know we'll get into it, but Michael and Quincy, it took me a while to get into that, but it had a nice flow into those first 4 or 5 tracks. So I was real pleased.
Yeah, man. I mean, I gotta say off the bat, I want to say on my first listen, I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't feeling it that much. But the more I listened, I noticed there were certain gems in there that I started to like more.
Right.
One thing I could tell you about the album though is that it's like it doesn't give you like it just goes from track to track. It just feels like a smooth rhythm from beginning to end, and it just seems like Nas is just on like Energizer Bunny speed as he's just rhyming through every track. Like that's what it feels like. So I'm like, the energy is definitely there, and it does feel like a King's Disease album. But you know, like I said, first listen, it didn't really grab me like that. But as I listen more, I feel like this is the type of album you kind of gotta listen all the way through it, and then you appreciate it a bit more, you know. But that's just my perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, man, the jury's still out.
Mm-hmm.
The jury's still out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've learned my lesson from the last two KDs. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be jumping out with these premature like conclusions, you know, of what you think the album sounds like, because this is their chemistry. This is what their chemistry's come to be. It's like it's a slow burner. It's a slow burner. Like it gets better and better as you continue to listen to it, depending upon what place and time you are, you know. So what I must say though is like it's KD1, KD2, and KD3 kind of seems as though it's like picking up from where Magic left off.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I don't know if it should have been 17 tracks. You know? I liked where it was going between the 10 and the 12.
Right.
13, 14 tracks. You know, there were a few tracks that I kind of felt that they were kind of filler. You know, just putting it out. You know, I'm like, okay. I love the album. I just don't think it should have been 17 tracks though. You know.
Yeah. That's an interesting point.
No, I agree. There were definitely some skips. You know, there were definitely some skips. There were definitely some songs that were like underdeveloped. That could have been something. You know, I don't want to skip around too much with the songs, but there definitely were songs when I first listen, I'm just like, ooh, this. I was telling Ed, I was like, this might be a Lost Tapes 3 type track, just to, you know, it's okay, but you know, but then as you start to listen to it a little bit and get into it, or some tracks have breakdowns, which really like the beat switches up, and it's a whole different story. So it's not as, I mean, you definitely have to sit with it. You can't, it's not going to, the tracks aren't going to jump out at you. You know, I guess the other thing too is that, you know, as prolific as Nas is as an MC and as just a griot, and just a reporter, as he states, you know, I felt like some topics were kind of touched on before in the previous KD 1 and 2 and the Magic joints. You know, for instance, he got a song called 30 and he put out on KD 1 27 Summer. So I felt like it was kind of like just a, you know, 27 plus 3 equals 30, like kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like simple math, like, you know, we can all kind of figure out just a continuation of the two, you know. So I mean, I felt like, you know, part of me, and we'll get to this, but I might as well open up. I'm wondering if maybe KD3 might kind of be a bit of an exhaustion of, you know, a great chemistry. But you know, I mean, my question later on to y'all, and I don't want to pose it too early, but should these two guys maybe like separate a little bit and come back or what have you? And before we get to that, I mean, I'll also say too, I probably would have liked to hear a couple more features on here than what I heard. I mean, I felt like Nas kind of ran out of gas on some songs. Some songs are very short, maybe 1 or 2 verses. So I would have liked to heard some more features, maybe from some Queens artists or whoever, just to kind of diversify the sound, like KD1 and KD2.
And that's a great point that you brought up, right? And I think I was talking to somebody about that. In fact, I think I was talking to Krill about that. Yeah, we was talking about it in the chat. That old style of being able to hold down an entire project by yourself, that's something that people don't do anymore. What's become the norm is features, guest appearances, and cameos. You know, we're coming up in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. That was not unusual. Like Rakim used to hold a whole album down by himself. Like, you know what I mean? KRS, the greats, they all holding albums down by themselves. You know, how do we just get into this whole space where it's just like that we feel is just normal, or what we feel like is just added? And to your point, maybe that is a place where the Nas Hit Boy collaboration has reached an exhaustion point that maybe he would have been able to hold out a whole album by himself. It was the first two projects, you know what I'm saying? But to do that on the third installment, where it's just like you gotta just pushing albums out for the sake of pushing albums out, maybe you needed the cameo features and the guest appearances to actually give it some oomph. You know what I mean?
You know, that's really interesting that you bring that up. I want to say two things. First thing is this: KD2 is about 15 tracks, but it's the same duration of time as KD3. I think it's like 51 minutes between, like, both of them are about 51 minutes, right? So I definitely hear the point. I felt like this one did feel longer, not just because of the track list, but because it was just Nas, you know, for the most part, as the solo MC throughout the entire album, which I thought was pretty cool, because the only other album where he just was featured as the only MC, I think he had a few vocal features on this album, you know, like singers, but the only other project that I can recall is Lost Tapes 1 that was like that, where you don't really have any I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but that's the only other project. So I thought that was cool. That was cool. Just, I guess, the reality of it, right? Just hearing that he did, even it's just him solo throughout the whole album. But yeah, I just wanted to share that. Like, I thought that was cool. But the point that you made, brother Mark, like, maybe you're right. Maybe it's because of that. That's why the album felt that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real feat to come up, like, for one producer and one MC to come up with 3.5 or 4, whatever you want to call it, albums in less than 3 years, maybe, is a real feat. I mean, maybe the pandemic was sort of a gateway for that, because, you know, allowed them to really lock in. You know, there was a point where they weren't touring. I'm sure they came up with a bunch of material that didn't make KD1, that just kind of like catapulted and you know, spilled over into the future projects. But it's a real feat. I mean, you know, the other thing too is you gotta, like, any great artist will tell you, like, it may be hard to produce so much and so much diversity and variability in your art in such a short span of time, because really you just have to evolve as an artist. You have to live life. You have to go through experiences. You have to hear different music, different approaches to really get that real diversity. And that's where I felt like KD3 kind of like got into a bit of a rut, especially in the mid portion of the album, where I felt like there were a lot of topics, there were a lot of styles, there were a lot of just approaches that had been kind of done before and felt a little stagnant. You know, still quality, but, you know, it's just sometimes just to make that difference, to make that change, you have to really kind of like let things sit a little bit and let the thought process go. I mean, it just kind of felt like there wasn't that type of evolution in this project, even compared to Magic. You know, I think Magic was probably, you know, just given the execution of Magic was surprisingly like excellent. I mean, it just was like so good. And, you know, albums really, the songs really stood out on their own. I think that's the real issue that I have, is that, you know, midway, like there's like 4 or 5 songs that maybe just kind of like don't really separate themselves from each other. So that was my, you know, and I think you could get back to also the fact that, you know, 17 tracks, it sounds like a lot, but if it's only an hour, not a whole lot of time, but, you know, we all have our fair share of songs that we felt like could have been just like chopped and kind of put on a Lost Tapes 3 that made the album more cohesive and still, you know, a little more just intriguing to listen to.
Yeah, the first 2 projects definitely feel far more cohesive than this album. You know, if you look the last album alone, I mean, you got YKTV, then it goes into Nobody, then you got Store Run, Moments. Like, it's just
Cardi 5, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
they just go with each other. They just flow, you know.
Yeah.
There's bigger records on there, I think, on Kings Disease 3.
You say that there's bigger records?
Yeah, I feel like there's bigger records. Like there's more to talk about on some of these on the records on Kings Disease 3 and Kings Disease 1 too. It's funny because like we kind of jumped off into the critique of the album, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it's safe to say, I mean, I said it earlier to A Level before we started, that this particular album was my least favorite in the Kings Disease series. But nevertheless, when you look at, you know, the bigger projects that came out this year, I think it's one of the better projects.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
But in scope of the other two in the series, I think this is the least favorite, and I feel like you guys are kind of echoing the same sentiments with the early critique, which is cool. But I'll let y'all speak for yourself.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to like get into the album. That's why I was trying not to. That's the other my problem. When I ended the conversations late, I kind of like I'm off. I'm like on a different page. So my
no, you good.
But yeah, I definitely want to get through it because I know I that's why I appreciate doing these is because I know y'all definitely helped me digest the album better, and I could listen to it back to back, you know, which I have done, and just after talking to y'all and y'all, you know, teasing apart the lyrics and the context, I just get a whole different appreciation for the album. So I know y'all at legit, or where were y'all at?
Well, we weren't. Yeah, A Level brought up legit, but we weren't going through like track for track. He just brought up one of his.
I just brought up one of my favorites.
Oh, okay. Oh, can I bring up one of my favorites? But I don't understand. I want to ask. I definitely want to get this out the way. But like, you know, Thun, crazy, right? Is it me, or is that track just like louder than the other tracks, or is it just, I don't know? Maybe the way I'm streaming it or whatever. That just for some reason the track sounds twice as loud as the rest of the songs.
Right.
I think it's
I hate it.
Queens in the house. Queens in the house.
I hate when that happens. I have to lower it, and then the rest of the songs come in all low. That's neither here nor there. But I just want to. But that's a dope. I love that little doom 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 doom, that little breakdown, and you know that's just it's classic Nas. It's classic Nas. You can't go wrong with that. And for Pip-Boy to match that style, that you know, with the you know the what is it, the ESG joint with the, you know, doom doom and all that, like he definitely caught the New York vibe to it, you know what I'm saying? So I love that. That might be like top 3 for the album for me in terms of just how it was put together and just Nas talking New York stuff. So yeah, that was a dope moment, definitely.
Yeah, it was like a dope homage to like Queens and like you said, just, you know, coming up in New York, the streets of New York, just was sort of like reminiscent, I guess, to his coming up in the hood, you know. But it was dope that he really put Queens on the map on that song, you know.
The fact that he named it Thun was just like,
Thun.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's a whole generation that doesn't even know what that word means. So it's just like, you know, real specific.
That's Queens slang, yeah. Thunderous. So. He even said thunderous. I'm like, oh, he added an extra word. You know, speaking about that song, there's a particular line in that song.
Thank you, please.
That a lot of people have been talking about. The line where he says, "In the Range Rover, dissecting bars from Takeover. Sometimes I text Hover.
It ain't over.
And like, it ain't over."
That's dope.
Wow.
Yeah,
how'd y'all feel about that when y'all heard that? What y'all
think? I think that's dope, man. I mean, I thank God for that, because it's like, to be able in this day and age to what battle rap has become in this culture, and people dying over music and getting killed and shot over stuff that they love doing, for you to have 2 heavyweights in the game like Jay-Z and Nas, to be able to, that they lived through that and told the tale, and they got billions and
strategy,
and they can still make dope records and talk about, hey man, remember when we did this? Yo, we still need to finish that. You know what I mean? Like, and this is why I say, like, to I don't know, that platform. I don't know if that platform still exists with Triller.
Oh, the verses.
That's the only verses left to watch. Jay-Z and Nas.
Of course.
They need to do that for the culture. That's the best, greatest success story that you could ever see. You know, not for just for them, but for hip hop. We brought it up from diverse times, and we improvised and took this youth culture for impoverished people of color and brought it together and came through battles. We lived past Biggie, Jay's, Tupac, and all this other. And we lived to tell a tale as billionaires, and we said some crazy stuff to each other in the battles, but we didn't kill each other.
Right. It was all strategy. It was chess. It was all chess.
And that's such an example to set for this youth. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to go through violence to be adversaries, and they can still have a good time.
Sorry to cut you off, A Level, but I want to say, man, when we think about Nas, he's one of the MCs that I feel like on a popular level that we don't give enough credit to for his ability to keep the peace. He's been in situations,
Death Row East,
that it could have been really bad. You know what I'm saying? It could have gotten way out of hand.
Brian Part.
I'm sure y'all know we talking about the Tupac situation,
Brian
but even
Part,
with this Jay-Z situation,
it could have gone
this was personal. You know what I mean? This
left condoms in the baby seat.
Talking about baby's mom. Yeah.
Listening to Takeover, you know what I mean? That can bring up some, feelings.
Yeah. And just watching them, imagine them playing them records on the verses and be like, how did that make you feel, Jay, during that time? And being able to watch that, you know what I mean?
And also, it was a difference. I mean, that was before streaming. So those records had to come on the radio. They had to come on in a club. Like, everybody remembers the first time they heard the Takeover, and everybody remembers where and when they heard Ether for the first time. Because it was just, that was the way. You couldn't just get on your computer and stream. I know I'm sound like an old man, but it just added a whole weight to those records. They were swinging for the fences, and it was like you had to be at the game to watch. You know what I'm saying? This got these two titans, just taking shots at each other.
Yeah.
And another thing to add to that is, we wouldn't have had the battle that we witnessed if it wasn't for Takeover. And that's what Nas acknowledged, more or less, by him saying that. You know what I'm saying? Listening to Takeover. Oh, it ain't over, because we got Ether from Takeover. We got Ether from Takeover. And honestly, that record, when I always felt as though people don't acknowledge this, it was such a genuine record that was put out and released about Nas at the time. That was quite valid. It was valid. He was at a point in time where he didn't really look that really interested in music, to me anymore. Carl Kanai Esco ads and, Nasty Nas to Esco's trash. And, you're just making the whole Uchi Wally and all of this other stuff. And it was kind of more like, I didn't look at Jay-Z looking at it like, oh, he's dissing me. He's like, yo, bro, what you doing? That's what I got out of it. Like, look at you. Look at where you've gone to. Were you going from this to that? What's going on? And he woke up the sleeping lion. And I think that was the best thing that ever happened for hip hop.
Yeah, that's a good point. Best thing that may have happened to Nas. Yeah.
Right. We probably wouldn't have got any of those records, had it not been for that record.
Yo, man, that's so true, man. Like, and really just to emphasize the point again, like you were saying, A Level, like, they could go through that beef and be at a place now where even on the record, like when he says that, I don't take it like it's a serious thing. I think it sounds like he's just like, yo, we got to give this another go, but I feel like when two black men can have that type of maturity, you know what I'm saying? It sets an example for the young cats coming up. You know, I don't want to get too far away from the actual music, but this subject leads me to this next question in
Right.
regards to what was said by was it 21 Savage, where he said that Nas was irrelevant, right? And I know people have discussed this, so I don't want to, stay too long on it. But I mean, I guess my question in regard, I'm assuming you guys heard that, right? That 21
Mhm.
Savage said that Nas was irrelevant. I think he was like, I don't know, he was like, was it like he was on Clubhouse or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
It was
gets on
some
there
type
once
of
in a while.
right. So my question really is not so much about him, but because I feel like this has happened before from brothers in the younger generation, right? And it doesn't happen a whole lot. So I don't want to make it a thing where like the younger hip hop generation just hates the older cats. I don't think that's the case. But it has happened before. What do you think causes young rappers or young hip hop artists or young people in the music business to state this type of stuff about our elders? You know what I mean? Like it happened the other day with, was it didn't like academics say something about LL Cool J or
Mhm.
something? No, it was, he said something about hip hop, old school hip hop. But I think LL Cool J responded, So like, but yeah, like what do you think causes this kind of reaction? You know what I mean? When it does happen from the younger generation.
I have no idea.
It,
I really
it's
don't. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Word.
I
it's
mean, it's just it may just be a way of just trying to distinguish yourself from the next man, or trying to like just separate yourself. Obviously this is a different age of just like music and culture, and of course every generation is going to be different, but to call somebody irrelevant is just I don't, yeah, I don't really know where he was coming from. I don't know if it was a point of just like not knowing, or just not sort of you know being aware of the context, or whatever
Yeah,
it
yeah,
may be. But of course, I mean, there are things that Nas talks about, like that are just not relevant to that 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 generation of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just when he's talking about holding stuff down for 27 summers, or him being a businessman, or him talking about beef with Tupac, or whatever it may be, or just hearing Marvin Gaye for the first time. There's stuff that this just younger generations obviously can't relate to. It doesn't mean that it should be looked down upon. It's just one of these things that you just weren't there. You don't know. I mean, everybody has a season or an appetite for a certain type of content. You know what I'm saying? When you're 21, 22, no pun, but you may not have that appetite to listen to Marvin Gaye, or listen to Michael Jackson or Thriller, or even care what Quincy and Michael, like what kind of magic they had. But as you get older, you may, when you're like 40 or what have you, you may have that appetite. So I don't really see I mean, I understand being irrelevant, but I don't see the point of taking it further than that, and sort of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just diminishing the value of a genius like a Nas, because there's so much that he has seen that you haven't even come close to, that you'll never really relate to. And I guess maybe just frustration that you do. I don't know. But that's as far as I can really like interpret it.
Nah, I dig it. I dig it.
I think
And just go ahead, A level. I'm sorry.
I think this is a recurring theme that happens over and over again in this culture, and it's what is eroding at the culture in itself is this ageism thing.
Yeah.
The ageism argument is killing the culture. It's killing the culture because the tree is becoming disconnected from the roots. The tree represents today's generation, of the generation, we're generation X, right? The generation X from the millennials to the generation Z's. Somewhere from our generation, and I'll put this on the generation X guys, we stopped teaching. We stopped teaching. We were more into what was happening in hip hop at the time, the massive growth that was happening in the mid to late 90s, when this thing started to become bigger than more than just culture, it became more of an industry. And we got so caught up in the industry part of it that we forgot to teach. And these Generation Zs and these millennials had to teach themselves what they felt is what hip hop is.
Mm-hmm.
So when they come across guys from our generation, they're more so like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Who are you to tell me that what it is that I'm doing ain't hip hop? You old. You're old. And so, and they use that word old as a weapon to deflect what it is that you've done. So therefore, they don't have any legacy to stand on, because now they don't really care. Not that they don't know where it's from. They don't care about what it's from.
Mm.
So you can't possibly really know where you're going. All I care about is what's happening right now. And I think also too, with what's his name again?
21
Savage.
I think it was kind of taken out of context, because I read further. He was not really meaning that, you know, I'm not saying that Nas is irrelevant. You know, he's a legend. It's just that right now, in terms of today's, you know, music and what we're trying to do, we don't see Nas at the center of that. I think that's more what he meant by that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty obvious.
And that's cool. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
pretty obvious if you listen. I mean, I've listened to the 21 and Drake album a few more times. I like to admit it's not a bad album, but it definitely is not.
Yeah.
There's no anchorage to a bigger tree of hip hop. It's very like
I'm glad you brought that up though, A Level.
I say that to say too is this: there's hope, young hip hop America. There's hope, because, and that's because shout to my son Kyan Elijah Cano. For guys like him, there's hope, because you have an openness to receive and want to study.
Right.
That open-mindedness is the hope for this thing to evolve and develop into something else. He wants to be informed.
Progressive, yeah.
He wants to learn. I mean, he's coming to me, sending me text links. Dad, here's this. Oh, boom, some old leaders of the new school. Oh, Dad, here's this, here's that. All I had to do,
that's a testament to your setting the example, though.
Plant the seed. You plant the seed. You are what you listen to. Whatever, you know, they might not like it at first, but eventually they'll be like, wow, he has an edge that a lot of other kids do not have in his elders.
That's true.
Absolutely.
That's because their parents, everyone doesn't hold the same standard and value towards music the way we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some people, music is just a pastime. It's just something to do. It's not that serious, you know. So that's why they're just constantly going on whatever is popular at the time.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So yeah, great responses, y'all. I do want to say though that there were a few hip hop artists that came out in defense of Nas. So like younger artists like the Fabio Foreign and what's the guy Kodak Black. I don't know how young they are, to be honest. But I know they represent that newer generation. But yeah, so yeah, I think that was dope too, and I'm glad you brought that up, A Level, about it kind of being taken out of context, because I think honestly I knew from the jump that that's kind of what he was saying, but maybe it wasn't the right choice of words, irrelevant, because that's gonna raise eyebrows and stuff, but I think the reality is that even when a 21 Savage says something like that, we gotta try to not come down on him, but really try to, like you was saying, A Level, get an idea of what the context is, where's he coming from with that. And I feel like he'll learn, right? In reality is Nas is not irrelevant, you know what I'm saying? Just won a Grammy not too long ago, He might not be who the young people are listening to, but the young people aren't the only people that listen to music. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of people all over. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think just we got to keep bridging that gap, keep bridging the gap, and we got to stop being so divided. You know what I mean? Even with some of the music that we got to call a spade, I think, if the music is not projecting a thought-provoking, uplifting, or even creative approach, then we got to call it for what it is. But at the same time, I think we got to work with these artists and let them know, look, man, because years later they're gonna be where the
Right.
OGs are. You know
Right.
what I mean? So we got to lead them and keep bridging the gap. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm glad we spoke about that. I want to get back to the actual album. I know we veered off a little bit, but
That's
I
all
wanted
good.
to bring that up. So yeah, in terms of let's go through some of the music. Like, so I know A Level, you said Legit was one of your favorite records.
Yeah.
What was some other tracks that y'all were feeling that really felt like were like standouts for the album? I'm gonna give mine as well, but I'm gonna throw the question to y'all first.
Ghetto Reporter. Ghetto Reporter.
For the first track, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's up. Yeah, he has a line on there where he says most artists don't live as good as the execs, and they end up depressed. That was an interesting line, you know.
That whole transition was nice. How he just his style through the whole progression was nice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nas is a beast, man. It's just he's a very thoughtful dude. You know what I'm saying?
Right. He also got another line on there where he says, they argue KD1, KD2, or Magic was harder when KD3 go harder than all of them.
Right.
So he already set the bar to be like, yo, this is the best one.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though our opinions are a little bit different.
It's all good. Yeah.
He's supposed to say that.
Right.
Like
What
that's
else
the
was you
courage
gonna
for
say?
MC. Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight those lines. Yeah, so Get a Reporter. Anything else that jumped out that you was really feeling? You know what? Let me go with mine's while you think about it. I'll say I like Thun. And I like Legit. I like the records that you guys mentioned. But I think Reminisce was
Reminisce.
Dope.
Yes.
Reminisce
I
is
just
dope.
love the vibe of that. I think this album, the tracks that you'll probably see I really liked more was the ones where the beat, the production.
Yeah.
And I'm into like the soulful, vibed out production. So that's kind of my bias. I'm picking those kinds of records. But Reminisce definitely like he has a line on there where he says he didn't have to die so that they could call him the great one. Didn't take a couple of albums. People said it from day one.
It's dope.
I was like, that's a dope line. Like, it just immediately took me back to Illmatic. And I'm like, wow, like he's literally just telling you what it is. You know what I mean? Like, in case you ever doubted him, like he's telling you what pretty much most people that rock with that album have said. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really dope. It's dope when you can see someone like a living legend show you that they're a living legend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, being the third person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's not even saying it on some like beating my chest. Like, yo, people said it. You know what I mean? Like, so that was pretty cool. I also like Serious Interlude. Even though it was a story about a relationship or
it was
fling
weird.
Having.
It was weird, yeah, like 30 years ago.
And it took me a little moment to catch on to it. I'm like, hold on, he talking about a chick or whatever, you know what I mean? But then again, I thought about it more, and I wondered. I was like, what if this is one of those double entendre types of records, right? Because I don't know if you guys picked up on that, because he kept saying a serious situation that we all go through. And I'm like,
I never went through that situation.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, not everybody goes through that.
that.
So I'm like, is this like symbolic for something else? You know how like Common did, I used to love her.
That's
and I'm like, yo, I wonder if it's something like that. I might be wrong, but that line stuck out to me when he kept saying a serious situation that we all go through. You know what I mean? Like you said,
I was like,
we all don't go through that.
all right. I was just upset that August Alsina wasn't on the hook. That's all. That's what I wanted.
Entanglement.
That would have made
Remix.
sense. You know what I'm saying? Entanglement's remix.
Mr. Entanglement.
Yo, that's
what I was waiting for. I was like, is that August? And then I checked the credits. Like, it's Mario or somebody. But yeah, I was like, I didn't understand what he was talking about. So yeah, that would be cool to get like a decoded interview on that one, because I was like, why are we talking about him having some encounter with some woman who was older than he was, like when he was, I guess, like a teenager or something. It was just it was kind of odd, but the beat was tough though.
Yeah, it was the beat that definitely. I mean, Nas is a great storyteller.
Anyways.
The story itself, I'm not really big on, but his ability to tell like conceptual records, like that's dope. So that's what I liked about it. I also like WTF SMH.
See that record, record to me, like it didn't hit me right in the beginning. I was just like, what is like the LMFAO and all that? But then when the beat switched, it's
the beat change up.
Yeah. It's like, like that's what I'm saying.
It wasn't Hit Boy.
Yeah,
that was Transport J that produced that.
I didn't know that. Okay,
yeah,
that's one of those songs where I felt like it could have been. I don't know. We could just start with that. We just made that a second song, because I kept skipping that song in the beginning, like I don't know, just like a play on emojis, without whatever. But I listened to the beat, and like just him talking about the content was crazy, because it was just like I have to paraphrase, but he was talking about how every situation we go through, we got to watch out for being like pressed by the law, or just getting facing the consequences. And the fact that he overcame all that, and he's talking about Akinelli bringing him to the offices, and him getting his first deal, and MC Search and all that stuff, how he overcame all that. I just thought that whole segment was just so dope, and it was just I feel like it got buried in that first section of it. But yeah, that was that second portion, that was probably one of my highlights of the album. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think I'm so glad you said that, because when I was listening to the album, remember I told you when I first heard the album, it wasn't hitting me like that, there were records that I was like, okay, this is dope, it sounds good, but it didn't really hit. But I think it was at that point when he started like that beat change up and the subject matter that he was talking about, I was like, oh, I like it. That's the Nas that I like.
Yeah, that was like poetry right there. I loved it. And it was enlightening. You know what I'm saying? Like he overcame all that to be who he is. It's just, it's just crazy, crazy story.
And he was kind of like talking to like the younger cats too. Like he was just talking about like, make it like giving them like wisdom or making wise decisions, so they don't get into arguments and get into and avoid violence.
Right, all that those negative influences. Yeah.
Right, that was dope. Yeah,
that was dope. And Don't Shoot was dope too. Like I felt like that was a needed record.
What that was about too. Yeah,
I felt like
talking to the younger cats.
Yeah, I wish that was.
Violence and stuff.
Yeah. I felt, especially now. I mean, it hit right on time. Rest in peace, Takeoff. Rest in peace, all them cats, man. From who was it? Who was my man who got shot in the Roscoe's? I mean, all these people just got Dolphin, and all these young dudes, just young kings, millionaires, getting just like taken out. PNB, my bad. And like right after Takeoff, like that. I mean, everybody, not to put one death over another, but just because I love Takeoff and his music and stuff, and just like, boom, gone. Like a genius, like great personality, obviously, successful, and like all this, just don't shoot. You don't got, I mean, it's not that serious, whatever it may be. So I felt like that was a really needed record, even though the younger generation may take it as being preachy or whatever. I'm just like, he just really had to get that off. I really respected that.
And what's dope is that what's dope is that the message is actually in the title of the song, like you said.
Yeah, it's just like it's you don't gotta
listen to the record. You see what it's about,
right?
Yeah. So I mean, I definitely appreciated that. You know, one of my favorites, and you know, I guess I like the heavy Nas. I definitely like the introspective, like very thoughtful, but I also like the mid tempo like bop Nas. So like that little like rock, like so you know going off from like Nobody and even back to like Cherry Wine with Amy Winehouse and Nobody with Lauryn Hill. But I felt like Get Light. That joint. I mean that like it just that's you can't deny that record. It's just a party record. It's just a cruising down the highway record. It's a cookout record. I mean, Get Light, that was and with the way that the drum snap to it, the way that the vocal samples pop off too. It's just like you just can't help but just it's move to it. It's just a real cool record. I like to hear Nas on those like easy breezy mid tempo joints. So Get Light was one of my favorites too.
Nice. Speaking about that track, WTF SMH, you brought it up, Mark. There's a line where he says, Akinelli took me in the building first. Piece to MC Search, how much the catalog worth. I made it so many could have a piece of what I earned. Pushed it to the max. That was maximum returns. I don't know how you guys took that line, but I know a few weeks ago or about a month ago or so, the news had came out that MC Search was selling I guess Nas's was it his publishing for so. Illmatic or something like that.
Searchlight.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of discussion on, why he didn't choose to sell it back to Nas. But I think that verse or that line kind of answers that. Did y'all catch that?
Right.
Like on the line where he said, piece to MC Search, how much the catalog worth? I made it so many could have a piece of what I earned.
Right.
So maybe, he didn't do that deliberately because, he wanted other people to be able to purchase it, to have the piece of it. I don't know. I don't know if you guys are getting the same thing. Maybe it's over my head, but
I mean, I think it's a lot of different. It's a lot of different things to take from that. I mean, that's not the only time that that Searchlight publishing discussion has been brought to the the public's attention. I mean, you got it when MC Search was sitting down with this guy in Drink Champs, with Nori, and he was talking about that whole situation about Nas's publishing and how he owns Nas's publishing from Illmatic. Jay-Z has brought that takeover. I know who I paid, dog. Searchlight Publishing. So for the fact that my take is like, I'm a billionaire now, right? I'm in a position to buy that back from you, even if I wanted to right now, But like you said, you brought up a good point. I made that at the time so that everybody could eat.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
not just for myself.
Yeah.
So
yeah. He said how much the catalog worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you said,
it sounds like
that's some billionaire stuff. How much is the catalog worth?
Hogan, not a song, not a song,
right? Because I'm
samples.
I'm a thing now where my thing is to buy art. I go and buy art all over the world, and why not buy my own art back from you?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Word. Yeah, man. I mean, I just that line stood out to me, so I just wanted to see if y'all got the same, message from it. But yeah, man. I mean, Nas is definitely at a level. I thought about this earlier today before we did the show, and I was just thinking about how much Nas has evolved, not just as an artist. I mean, like, this man continues to put out music, and I think he says it in the beginning of the album or somewhere in the album. He's like, you don't cherish this because you're not gonna get this. You don't get this a lot from me, like the consistent releases with Hit Boy. But just even from a business standpoint, where earlier in his career, that was one of the critiques. Like, Jay was kind of on a whole other level than him, more advanced, and like Nas has really stepped it up business wise. So, he's definitely, did his thing. He's only continued to evolve. You know what I mean? Like with the documentary, the Supreme Team documentary, that was, I didn't even realize he did that.
Documentaries, the
Mass
video
Appeal,
music box,
right, the video music box, yeah. So
I think he's gonna do a. Man, I'm forgetting the name of the photographer. I'm probably speaking out of turn, but I think he's gonna profile a photographer, hip hop photographer in the 90s. I think his name is Ricky. I forget his last name. So I mean, it's all Mass Appeal. I mean, shoot, we watch whatever the beat makers making beats when they they get blindfolded and stuff. That's all Mass Appeal too. So it's just a whole big movement. I mean, he's on some like Revolt, Mark Echo, you know what I'm saying, type enterprise stuff. And for real, like and even Nas, like I feel like he almost did his business in the reverse, in the sense that like he made a lot of good business moves outside of hip hop, between Amazon and Ring and prescription delivery services, all these kind of like weird, like, what I'm saying? Like, how did you figure out that you were, that this was a good move? But he's caked off of all these things. And now you see the back end, him getting back into Mass Appeal and doing all these great things, sort of hip hop related and giving back to the culture. So
right. I was about to say he's using his dollars to cultivate the culture.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. He's making important films.
Yeah.
That video music box documentary was an important film.
Oh, had to be made.
Needed to be made.
Yeah.
Ralph McDaniels is the Don Cornelius of hip hop.
It's crazy.
Period.
It's absolutely crazy. Like what he's done.
We would not have a show right now.
There might not be a Wu-Tang Clan.
Not a Nas, not a Jay-Z,
not
not
Nas,
a Biggie, not a nobody. There wouldn't be no Yo MTV Raps. There would be none of that. They stole the idea from him, and he was doing it for free,
right?
And still is working. And no one. He's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's not in the Hip Hop Hall. I don't even know if he's in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame. That's terrible.
That's crazy. Yeah, that'll catch up though.
His time is coming, man.
Yeah.
We need a Nas biopic, and I feel like that's gonna come eventually.
That'd be dope. I mean, there's enough. Yeah, there's enough of a story out there.
And it's gonna come out of Mass Appeal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that could work.
You should have Ryan Coogler direct it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I feel like in time that's gonna come, man.
Yeah,
see that because the other track I like too is Once a Man, Twice a Child. I like that.
Dope.
So you guys can kind of see like I'm going with like the more laid back, soulful.
Vibe. Yeah, definitely. And then also like the real thematic records. You know what I'm saying, with a real concept. Beef was dope too.
Beef was good too.
That was another like needed record.
That was like that felt like I Gave You Power in a sense.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Just like Second Childhood. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Second Childhood was like that with Once a Man, Twice a Child. Like, but it's cool. I mean, still Nas has done certain things twice that other MCs have never done. You know what I'm saying? So as easy as it was for other MCs to bite off of him, he's like kind of biting off himself, which is a whole different pause. But a whole different chamber you could be in. You biting off your own style, so your own ideas.
Yeah, definitely. And the other record I like was First Time. Really dope record about first time experiences. I thought it was cool how he talked about like the first time him hearing certain artists, but also he brought up like first time with his music and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
You thought I picked bad beats. That was cool how he acknowledged that he's not the best.
Listen, Nas hears everything, and I love how he addresses everything in his rhymes. He hears everything.
I'm telling you, he's like the best superhero because he's like so imperfect. You know what I mean? Like you want to root against him so many times, but then it's like, we all been through those Streets Disciples eras, all that, where it's like you want to root for him, but it's like, nah, come on, like Uchi Wally, really, like, come on, bro, like like "Owe Me Back" or whatever that was with the
Oh,
genuine, like
man.
all these things are just like, and he's just him.
I
You know what
wet
I'm
who
saying?
I
Was
Just-
want
that
wet it.
That was Nostradamus, right? Those records were on
I don't
Nostradamus.
even know,
right?
bro. I
Some
kind
of
of checked
them-
out those those years.
I wet who I want wetted. I wet who you want wetted. Any nigga could get it.
No,
That was
no.
wow.
Yo, no, hold on a
I
second.
hear you.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Those albums came out when I was in high school, you know, I can clearly remember them. And I was actually like those albums. But let me just say it. I'm speaking from a teenager who I was big on Nas. Like, you know, I mean, literally, if you know me personally, while I was a teenager, that was my nickname, Nas. Like, because people
word.
said I looked like him so much.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
crazy.
I can see
Like,
that.
like literally, I mean, from the time I started 9th grade to 12th grade, anybody that knows me from that time frame will say that that's the absolute truth. People always said that about me. That's a whole other story, but I mean, you know, I've been into experiences where like the wildest people you would think like have said like, you know, yo, you look like Nas, whatever. So
Crazy.
I was at that age where like, you know, it got to a point where it started becoming annoying when I got to college, but at the same time, you know, I was looking up to him. I was inspired. I was like, oh, word, you know what I mean? Like, so a lot of his music, I was really into, and to a degree emulated him to a degree in terms of how, you know, his persona was, his visible persona and stuff. So like those albums meant a lot to me, man. And it wasn't until I got older I realized, like, you know, how critical people were of like I am, like, you know, I was so excited. Like I you know, that's when Sam Goody was out, like, you know, after school.
Sam Goody.
Word, Sam Goody. I don't know if y'all remember, but you would know about the album releases like months before they came out. And I remember I did this with the Wu-Tang Forever album. I got a gift card for Christmas the year before. And I knew that the Wu-Tang Forever album was coming out like a whole 9 months later. And I saved that gift card, and I went to Sam Goody, and you know, you could put your money down ahead of time. Yeah, and I reserved my copy.
Tied up.
That wasn't coming out to like another 8 months. You know what I'm saying? Man. So I would do stuff like that, man. And my brother, my homie that you know I rock with, man, we did it. We so those records were like a huge part of my teenage, you know, my high school years, you know.
I mean, I will say that, like, you know, a song like Uchi Wally or the Genuine song, like, they had their place in time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I wasn't when I will say, I'll speak on my own behalf. When those albums came out, I wasn't like, nah, come on, man. But it was just like they had their moment, and it was just he was like kind of like going in with the trends. You know what I'm saying? So you know that the whole Uchi Wally with we started finding out about the Indian samples and all that stuff, and Big Pimpin' was out and all that. Like it fit whatever was going on with the trend. Just with like the Genuine joint. I guess Timbaland did that joint, or somebody sounded like Timbaland. It probably was Timbaland.
It was Timbaland.
But it fit it was just the staying power of those songs when you compare it to like, you know, even It Was Written, which got, oh my God, it was written when it came out. People were like, nah, selling out. Nah, it's not the same. It's not. Yo, people hated that album when it came out, and I was just like, at that time, I really didn't think the album was that bad, and still to this day, I think it just gets better with time. That whole album, but
yeah, that blows. That really is interesting.
And it just it's just people just being upset that because you couldn't match. You couldn't match Illmatic. It's just impossible. So the fact he's talking about having like any success, having like jewelry or having a nice car, or any of that stuff, you wanted that. All the backpackers were just like kind of killing him.
I think what happened, I mean, for me, it was just seemed during the time like it was just such a blatant attempt
Right.
to keep up with
Right.
the times,
Mhm.
a blatant attempt to
Instant
stay trendy
gratification.
and
Mhm.
catch up to what Biggie's doing. Let
Mhm.
me wear the pink suits too. Let me do this and let me do that. Now, had he was doing that first,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Then it would be a little different. But for me, y'all already know how I feel about I Am. For me, that was the grand deception. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how that album was marketed and promoted, not you get Nas is like Nas got the he got the flight jacket on in Queensbridge. I'm on the
Yeah,
steps
Nas is
rolling
like,
that
yeah,
L. I
yeah,
mean, they got a primo in the bathroom.
yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. Oh,
Crazy.
Nas about to get into his
Crazy.
bag. Then he start this album off with New York State of Mind Part 2, which was crazy.
Yes.
Premiere gives you a whole different flip of the same sample. And Nas is going in, and then I get You Won't See Me Tonight, and You Won't See Me Tomorrow. What? I'm like, it's
Yeah,
just
you terrible.
these throw offs. And then he has other songs way down to track number 7 and way down to track number 8. And then it's just like these whole bunch of releases that are just not cohesive anymore. That was my big gripe on it. It's just like, then you get KISSING, picture us married, you and me, FUING. I'm like, when he's bad, he's really bad. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what the fans got frustrated with after a while. You know what I'm saying? He used to be able to hold it down because I am Nas and I'm this griot and I'm a super lyricist, but the music
can I
wise,
say this?
production wise, just wasn't doing it, man. You know?
Can I say this, man? I have to say this, bro, and I'll follow on from what I was saying earlier. You brothers, I didn't hear Illmatic when it first came out.
Right.
The first Nas album that I heard was It Was Written. And you know, being somebody that's really involved in hip hop, sometimes I feel hesitant to say that, you know, but I got to keep it real. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I did not hear Illmatic when it first came out. I was able to get it. I got it. I think I got it on. I did get it on cassette. I might have got it from Coconuts when Coconuts was out. The store Coconuts. I got it probably before I, probably like, I don't know, my second or third year in high school. But I heard it. I mean, I heard It Was Written first. So Nas with the pinstripe suits and what was happening with the firm, the fedora hats and all of that stuff. I was loving that. Like, it just, so even when I Am came out, even the records that you were talking about, it's making me laugh now because in hindsight, I realized like that record KISSING and, some of those records, when you really think about it, they're mediocre in terms of what Nas is capable of doing. But when I first heard them,
Right.
I liked them. I don't know what it was. It just, maybe I just was this young, and this is where I could see, a lot of the younger generation where I can see myself in them now, like with the way you guys are talking, because like, I'm first really getting a hold of him and It Was Written. And this was when he was with that whole, dressing fly. I didn't get the raw street Illmatic Nas, you know what I mean? So I guess I appreciated that much more too. And I remember really anticipating I Am. I think Clue would, or like the mixtape DJs, they would release certain records
and that
didn't make I Am.
And that record got heavily bootlegged.
Yeah.
I got deceived by the bootlegs.
Because there was other records that was supposed to come on that album and that I think made it on Lost Tapes.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that album was severely bootlegged because I remember I was in Mercy College when that album came out. It was my first year in Mercy College, and it was 98. And man, we was listening to the bootlegs, the birth of Nas and all of this other stuff. And I'm like, why did it make the album? Like, what? But it made the Lost Tapes album. So that album, Lost Tapes, was really supposed to be on I Am, So what happened?
Would have made a big difference, yeah.
So, but I could see a lot of those were really pushed by this guy had his hand on it. this guy,
Stout.
yeah,
Yeah.
Stout. Those were track masters all the way. He was trying to make him this mega star, like Biggie and Tupac. He was trying to that type of stuff. He was like, "Yo, you sound you want to be G rapping? You can't make no money being G rapping." He was saying this on the podcast. You know what I mean? He was saying this on Drink Champs. So that's what he wanted to do with him, but that's just not him. It wasn't him, and it was just you could see that wasn't him. That's the reason why you can see records like King's Disease right here.
Yeah.
There was a way for him to still be who he eventually ended up becoming without having to go through that process.
Yeah. Bringing it back to the King's Disease series and those albums, I want to go back to something you brought up earlier, Mark, which I think is fitting to talk about now, is like, or I'll say this first. I don't think any of us foresaw in 2020 leading up to 2022 that we would get not 3 but actually 4 albums from Nas with one producer, and they all sounded good. Right? Obviously some of them better than others, but they all sounded good. And the general consensus, I would say, is that most Nas fans like these albums, right? Like, are y'all kind of like, did y'all like reflect on that, like the fact that at this level in his career, I don't think I've ever seen a hip hop artist do that, right? It's not one-off record, it's like 4 albums. You know what I mean? At this stage in their career, at that level of stature.
And that really comes from a place of inspiration. You could obviously see that Hit Boy is inspiring him to put out this kind of content.
Good point.
An artist has to be inspired, to put out this kind of content that doesn't feel like you said, it's just a one-off and that's it. For him to put out this amount of content says something about Hit Boy and what Hit Boy allows him to do. Hit Boy allows him to be an artist. And we was talking about those earlier albums. It was very telling that by the time he did KD1, I remember Nas was saying, this is the first album where I got a chance to get in the studio and actually get feedback from a producer. A lot of those times I was just passing the DAT, passing the CD, listening to beats and going in the studio, engineer, hit record, and I'm producing the records on my own.
Good
you
point.
Hear the big difference, between, okay, Hit Boy is like, you know what, Nas, you just say what you're going to say. I'm going to taper and I'm going to color the landscape around you so that you don't have to jump out of yourself,
This is a good point, man. I think that there's something strong to be said about having a producer that can really take ownership of the record and provide the feedback and be so hands-on. And I think he definitely got that with Hit Boy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think that's a great merit. And just having a producer like Hit Boy, like, I always joke around how we always wanted that Nas and Premier collaboration, but you wonder if a Primo could have executed to the level. I mean, not to take anything away. I'll never take anything away from Primo, but to have that real producer's input on a track-to-track basis, and also too, just the amount of instrumentation, the changes in the music, and the nuances where you have someone who's relatively new in the game, but still has that. I mean, he's a student, so he knows all the styles. He knows trap, he knows drill. I mean, he took Reminisce and then he turned it into a New York drill record at the last 30 seconds. Like, there's not too many producers. I can't think of one other producer that can do that and make it seem so seamless and effortless in one song or one album. So to have someone just sort of like all inclusive, like do it all, like set it and forget it, like I'm here, I'm gonna produce you, I'm gonna make the beat from scratch, I'll sample, I'll do whatever I got to do, I'll produce you vocally as well, shoot, maybe even sequence the album, whatever. You're right, that takes a whole load off of Nas to have to worry about any of that stuff, and he can really be free, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, I think that's a real merit. My only concern is if Nas gets too comfortable in that world where it's just like, okay, are we getting to the point where they're getting a little bit of more repetition here, and sort of a bit of a formula plugged in, and I don't want to limit it to a lack of creativity or just like a lack of effort. I just think just artists need time. They need time to develop and just evolve. So you get. I mean, I'm repeating myself, ironically, but where you get a different perspectives. So I think with that, I think again, shout out to my man Solutions, who's been texting and stuff. Like, yeah, I definitely think they have more in the tank, but I feel like maybe just taking a step back. You know what I'm saying? Just like maybe just like looking back at the body of work and seeing where can we go, sort of on a more global and more sort of just like overall level in terms of just taking the music to a different space. I think that would be something that they could benefit from in the future.
And knowing when to say, when it's time, it's time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's okay to walk away from something and say, you know what? I don't want to damage the Mona Lisa. I've already done it. It's time to do something else. You know what I mean? Other than just trying to mill it over and just keep doing it over and over and over again and then cheapen the brand. You know what I mean? Just leave it where it is. And to your point, I don't want to take it off topic, but you said a good point about being a student, Mark.
Yeah.
That Hit Boy is a student. There's hope for a connection of the generation gap, so to speak, and an elimination of ageism when you have a younger generation of students.
Right.
True that.
People who want to be student-minded, not knowing that it's more than about what you're doing. Because when you add to these other things and you get informed about these other things, your music is going to be greater.
Mm-hmm.
Like Africa Bambaataa, Baby Bam, Africa was a student of Africa Bam. Like this is why the hip hop was more cohesive up until that point. There was a constant connection. Each generation within the hip hop culture was always being informed by the next generation and taking it a step further. Somewhere between the mid to late 90s, that ended. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That ended. You went their separate ways.
Mm.
And that's what you got going on right now. People are just going their separate ways and you're trying to bring it back together.
And I think Nas has as an artist himself, like he's actually done a lot, I think, to bridge the gap. Like he's, what on KD1, he put a bunch of young MCs on, bunch of young artists, young rappers on the album.
Right.
And from what I've known, he's always kind of like didn't he sign Dave East? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think there are OG artists out there that's doing that. You know what I mean? But I think the criticism, some of the criticism, I think is definitely warranted. Because it's a lot of craziness happening in the quote unquote younger generation or commercialization of rap nowadays. But like I said, man, we definitely got to keep the conversation going and really keeping things together, man. And I think there needs to be I don't know if it's a forum or just ongoing building or
right.
collaborating just to keep it, because if it keeps separating, it's just only gonna get worse for the culture as a whole.
Yeah, you'll have like just a bunch of different subcultures, like what I'm saying,
Everybody
don't even know each other.
Yeah,
It's already getting that way. It's already getting that way.
Yeah.
It is you got drill. People don't even call it hip hop. They call it drill.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're
They
right.
don't call it hip hop.
And
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
UK drill and New York drill. It's all these different like subgenres. You know, what are they? Emo rap, and I forget what the other one was. I was like, what is that? Like, I was like, oh, okay. You know, it's like you keep labeling it something else, and it will be, you know, you just keep fostering a whole different, a whole different aesthetic to it, which, you know, I don't know, for better or for worse.
Yeah. Yeah, but I got to give it up to a lot of the young artists, particularly the artists that I, you know, usually push on the blog and stuff. Like, there's a lot of artists that's really, you know, I think the ageism subject in hip hop is one that's definitely real, but I feel like if you really are like you hone in to just the diversity of hip hop, there's a lot of young cats that's really doing it from an uplifting, thought-provoking, creative perspective, you know what I mean, that I think, you know, the culture itself would be proud of, you know. But yeah, man, it's definitely a conversation that I think we can expound on again for another another episode.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny because I haven't heard that term used in hip hop. I mean, you hear about it, and I was just watching. I forget. I'm old, so I watch CBS News or whatever it is, and they were talking about ages. I'm like, wow, this is really like a real thing. I didn't really think about it. Of course, you're supposed to treat your elders with respect and everything, but to still make, you know, there are certain things that you can do and say, and just your approach that can diminish or demean something just because it is from a different era or a different time, or doesn't sound like what's new. And it doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes it different, which, you know, in my mind, that should just be embraced, because, you know, not everything should be the same.
Ageism doesn't happen in any other genre, or it's not as prevalent in any other genre as it is in hip hop.
In hip hop, yeah.
Jazz music, they know Bird, they know Monk.
You have to.
They know Kenny G, they know this, they know that. Same thing with rock, and the same thing with everything else. This is the only genre where there is such a blatant, obvious disconnect, and I believe it's intentional as well too. It's not just people, you know. It's happening that way for a reason.
Yeah,
you know, and because of the fact that it's such a powerful culture, and now it's being used to destroy people. That's my thesis on working with right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's like something that's been under my nose. I haven't really been as cognizant of it. But yeah, it's something that is really an issue that I never even thought about.
But yeah, man, getting back to this Nas King's Disease 3 album, I guess to follow up from what you were saying, Mark, like, this question I'll ask, man, do you think this is it? You know, because I was talking about this with A Level earlier, you know, before we started the show. Like, trilogies usually, you know, are like the close, right? And to me, this feels like it could be the end of the chapter. You know what I'm saying? In terms of his collaborations with, in terms of full-length albums with Hit Boy. But I don't know. I guess the question is, where do they go from here? You know,
I guess where they should go from here. I don't know if you guys heard on the album, but, you know, Nas is still alluding to a Primo joint.
I'm glad you brought that up, because
you did say that.
You did bring up Primo earlier, Mark. So that's another topic which I thought was good that he brought up. So I don't know if he was just feeling good to say that, or if that's actually something that's really in the works, and that's a hint of what's to come.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just going back to the whole Hit Boy collaboration, do y'all think this is it, or do you feel like there will be a fourth King's Disease album? And if there is, does it have to do something significantly different? I'm feeling like it's probably gonna have to.
You're gonna have to.
So what's y'all y'all take on that?
I don't know. I'm agreeing with Mark. I don't know if there should be, at
Right.
least immediately right now. You've
Right.
released
Of course.
four albums in 3 years. You know, you just kind of have to step back for a minute, and see, okay, what else, what other direction can we take this, or should we even take it? Maybe this is it. Maybe we should stop. Like, it's okay to stop, and do something else, and not follow the trend or follow the fans, so to speak. And like, yeah, let's do a KD4. Let's do a KD10. You know what I'm saying? For the sake of doing it. It's not necessary,
Right. You putting
Yeah, I
them
don't
joints out like sneakers, you know what I
Right,
mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
Mid-season.
Shout out to Kevin Durant.
Word up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
But,
I mean, I put it. The only thing I can say is, like, if it was over, I wouldn't be mad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I just feel like they have accomplished so much.
Word.
And also too, I don't want, like, you're right. Like, I don't want this concept of one producer, one MC, 3.5, 4 albums, whatever you want to call it, just locking in for that long period of time. I don't want that to be overlooked or taken for granted. So,
Right.
I mean, if you encapsulate it as KD 1, 2, and 3 and Magic, and leave it at that, maybe it has more staying power than the KD 10 or whatever. So, but I mean, again, it's just a shame. Like, I love hearing Hit Boy. His production is so complex and so layered and so nuanced, and so, it's just so many different reference points. And then to hear someone as complex as Nas over it, it's so pleasing on both sides. So, I would hate to, like, not think that would, to think that wouldn't happen again. But it is what it is. I mean, I think the best way to put it, I'm not going to be the one to say it should stop. It should never have another, collaborate, another album with them. But if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be mad, just because of what they put out and at the level of quality that they put out all these in such a short period of time. That's definitely that's Joe DiMaggio 56 in a row. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think anybody's really going to get close to that. So, I wouldn't be mad.
I'd like to hear Hit start working with other people.
Yeah.
Jay Elect, or or this guy, whatchamacallit, man, from Griselda.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Benny.
Yeah, Benny would be dope. Yeah. Because they already did. They already did one. I forget what it's called, but it was
Conway.
Conway's nasty.
Yeah.
The list goes on, man. He could really lock in with some dudes. I mean, a guy like Hit Boy, he got options just because of who he is and how he produces. He can just make, any style. He's mastering any style. And
he's definitely the chameleon, man. He's a chameleon. He goes with any background.
So here's the thing. In following up with the question I asked, what's next, right? I think this is actually pretty cool. And even though it's a one-off event, I think this makes sense for the trilogy. It's in February 2023 coming up, February 24th, I believe is the date. He's going to be doing his headlining Madison Square Garden show about the performing, I guess, King's Disease. It's the King's Disease trilogy show.
Wow.
So that makes a lot of sense. I could see, like, maybe events like concerts, maybe even a documentary that kind of, how you say, complements this whole trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought about that. I was like, that might be the next best step.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Mark, maybe he waits a couple years, and comes back, with Hit Boy. I don't think that the production, the the collaboration has been a success.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I don't think it's something that we're looking at like, all right, enough. Enough of this. I had enough of this. You know what I mean? Like, I think there can be a continuation, but I think it has to be strategic as to what the continuation is going to be. But yeah, I mean, you guys gave some great responses in regards to that question. So yeah, man. Yeah.
You don't want it to be like a Halloween Kills. So
Oh my goodness.
Michael Myers. This is over.
They killed him.
This is too much.
Word. Yo, so man, it's been pretty dope building with y'all on this tonight, man. Anything else we want to talk about in regards to the album that we missing?
Well, did y'all catch a line? He had some line. This is dumb, but he put some line out about Pete Rock. Did y'all catch that?
Yeah,
that was.
What did he say? I don't know. I wasn't.
He said, "Why? I wonder why." I think that line came right after he talked about Premiere, right? He was like, Premiere album might still happen, and then he said something like, "I wonder why Pete Rock would act like that." I think it's in relation to, didn't Pete Rock try to sue him or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he didn't get paid.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Pete didn't get paid from World Is Yours.
Yeah, something like that happened.
There's some royalties that he's missing from there.
That's right. I forgot.
Right. So yeah, I think that's what he's referencing to. But it was interesting that he also said that type of behavior make me want to quit rap or something like that. I'm not sure if I'm saying the right words, but you know,
Yeah,
you can see that he didn't like it. You know, it's like damn, like, you know, yeah, you can see that he wasn't really feeling that. You know,
yeah, that kind of surprised me. You know, I really don't know what that's about, but then again, maybe I do. You know, that's something I think they should both really kind of get together, because you guys
they gotta hash it out.
Yeah. You guys are too much to be staples in the game. You know, bickering over something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very well revered, well respected individuals. You know, I would actually like to see Pete do some more stuff with Nas.
You know what I mean?
I haven't heard him do anything with Nas since Illmatic.
Thinking about that line, the fact that he would mention Premier and then mention Pete Rock, it almost made me feel like he wanted to work with both of them again, you know.
Yeah.
And him just saying like, I wonder why Pete Rock would act like that. It's kind of like disappointing for him, you know what I mean?
He had that in the works.
Yeah. I think Nas is an artist at the core, you know, and even though, you know, his decisions with the type of production he's choose to work with over the years, I mean, prior to Hit Boy, was very questionable. I feel like at the core of it, he cares about the art, you know, and I could see, you know, potentially maybe in the future, because he's made attempts to do like one-off records with Premiere, and you know, it would be interesting to see. Would you guys be interested in seeing an Alchemist and Nas album? Do you think that there might be interest there, or do you feel like it's already done?
He's done that already.
He did Book of Rhyme. Book of Rhymes.
He's done quite a few songs with Alchemist.
Well, like
maybe not an entire full.
He has. I feel like Alchemist over the past maybe like 5-6 years has like just taken it to a different level. Like, you know what I'm saying? His evolution is just crazy.
Yeah.
The zone that Alchemist is in, I don't necessarily know if Nas is in that realm. You know what I mean?
I felt like the end of, what was it? WTF. What was the name of that song? I hate the title of that song. The title of that song, that's what bothers me. That's why I don't like it. But that second part,
SMH, WTF.
Yeah. I felt like, you know, there's no drums on there, but that to me, I thought Alchemist for a brief second there.
Right. Yeah.
Or Dilla. But you know, that soulful, you know, just that soulful, just scenery, you know what I'm saying, that like backdrop, I feel like Alchemist could do it.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, yeah, I'd say I would
There's
love
potential. I'm definitely open to it. You know what I'm saying? It's Nas and Alchemist, and not mad at that at all.
yeah, that would be
You
a
know,
nice
but
lock in. That could be yeah.
That's not a collaboration that we haven't heard. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you know, that's
Yeah,
cool. I
man.
mean, yeah, I'm just happy Nas is still productive and still, you know, inspired in somehow, some way. You know what I mean? Because
Word.
he doesn't have to be. He definitely doesn't have to be inspired at all. So it's cool to think about an artist who you grew up listening to. I mean, we're going on 30 years now,
And
you know, since Illmatic's close to it, but you know, and he's still got that itch, which is, you know, a blessing.
and they still be making great music
Word.
at 50s, bro. You know what I mean? Making great
That's important.
relevant music at 50s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With some of your most, you know, standard producers of the day, like Hit Boy. It says a lot about you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man. Listen, man, it's been a pleasure building with y'all tonight, man. I'm glad we could do this show. We coming up on about 2 hours, but yeah, man, it feels good to have y'all back here again, man. You know, and we got to try to do this again soon, or you know, maybe before the year's out, we got to do you know, we do our best of the year.
Yeah, we got to get that in.
My list is gonna be crazy to narrow down this year because
I've been forgetting so many joints.
I've been plugged in so hard this year that it's just so much music I gotta narrow down. But A level, I'm giving you a head start, man. So you know,
yeah. You know, listen. It ain't that long, brother.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying now you can go back. You got a little time to go back and catch some
man.
stuff. Yeah.
I give you top five the most.
I tell you, I think my R&B might be longer this year than the rap, though. I think. But I'm gonna send you an R&B one too. We know we always go back and forth with the R&B.
Well, you know, like if you know A level, my blog, man, it has so much.
Yeah, I've been checking it out. I was looking at them Isley Brothers albums.
Yeah, check out a lot, man. There's a lot. There's a lot on there, you know, and I try to do every month, you know, we do the best of, you know, in my opinion, what I think is the best, you know, hip hop and soul albums that came out each month. So you can start with that and just let it, you know, see what you're feeling on there.
I'm still in the Black Thought Danger Mouse joints right now.
Oh yeah. It would have been nice. We I think we would talked about doing a show on that. But yeah, man, we're gonna. I think we'll set it up for December, you know, to do another show where we can do our recap.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah, man. Speaking of dope albums, I do have to say, and I said it earlier, November 11th was a big release day, but this previous week was a lot of dope releases. I want to shout out Apollo Brown and
that finally dropped. Green. That finally dropped. Okay.
Yeah, that album is really good.
I gotta. Yeah, I've been seeing like
Apollo Brown and who?
Fillmore Green.
Okay.
I interviewed Fillmore Green on the show. I think it was last year. Really dope MC. He's from Chicago. Apollo Brown from Detroit. What else did we get? We got obviously King's Disease 3. Homeboy Sandman dropped his album, Still Champion. We got a Kai Solo dropped an album. His album that's on Backwood Studio with, you know, Billy Wood's label. Von P and Aeon dropped an EP called Duly Noted 2. That was pretty good.
Shout out to Von P.
Yeah, from Tanya Morgan. It's a lot of records came out, man. I you know, I think November 11th was huge. Got a lot of soul, a few good soul albums too. Centric dropped a album, Producer Centric. It has like Raheem Devon, T3, Keisha Chantel, a few. Yeah, man. Merge dropped the album with
we did
the Grouch.
Oh yeah.
These Hands, yeah.
Back again. They haven't. I can't remember the last time they made music together. I mean,
and Logic dropped a project as well. Yeah, there's a lot of releases, man. I mean, I don't know. It's just interestingly, like I'm looking back and I'm just like, wow, Oshun dropped an album too, volume 2. So who else dropped? Novelist dropped an album. Busta just dropped the EP yesterday. It's called The Fuse is Lit. It's like 5 tracks. That was Busta. Busta just dropped that. I think Swiss Beats is on there. And yeah, man. So yeah, but I definitely wanted to shout out Apollo Brown and Fillmore Green. That is a really,
I gotta check
really
that out.
good record.
Big fan of Apollo Brown. I don't know Fillmore so much, but yeah, Apollo is crazy.
Yeah, man. But again, man, thank y'all for tuning in.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. Any final words before y'all break out, or we get up out of here?
Oh, shout out to K De Niro and B, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, word.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Shout out
November babies. Absolutely. Well,
Word.
Scorpios or
yeah.
Okay. Oh, and shout out
to B. Yeah. Happy birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And,
birthdays, they be killing me every year.
I know, right? I was about to say, yeah.
Apart.
Then you got Christmas coming too. Yeah.
Word. Oh yeah, let me shout this out. I guess I got you here. I might as well shout it out. So I've been working on my next album. And I'm hoping to have it released early next year.
Dope.
I do have a single that I'm going to be releasing this Friday. So the first single from the album, and I think I'm gonna put out the instrumental with it. I usually don't put my instrumentals out, but this time I think I will. Right. So yeah, I got that coming.
So let me ask you real quick, because you put out a couple Lucy's, I guess around the summertime or whatever, or
did I?
You did. You put out. It
was like earlier in the year.
Yeah, is that going to be included or?
Nah, this is straight. Everything is new.
Right.
Everything is new. Okay. I produced. I think I'm pretty much done. Like I would say like 95% done with all the beats, because usually I got to do the beats first. I got all the beats done. Of course, there's little tweaking that I got to do. I got to add some layers to the beats and stuff, but I have the foundation, so it's really just writing time for me now. Like the main thing is writing. But I do the beats first, because I gotta have something to write.
Right.
But yeah, I'm working on it. I'm hoping to have it the full album released in January, hopefully in January, if not early in the year. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm taking this a little bit more seriously than the first one. I'm trying to just go up a notch, with everything, the production, the lyrics, but I'm also not trying to lose the natural vibe of it too, so I'm trying to work on the balance of that. But yeah, man, I'm gonna have the first single out this Friday, so yeah, man, I'm excited about that. And I'm gonna have physical copies of my book, Creating a Successful Interview Podcast. Hopefully before the end of the year, I should have physical copies of that book. And I have physical copies of my first album available that you can purchase on Bandcamp. People out there checking out, you can order it on Bandcamp and I'll ship it to you. Yeah, man. And I got this sweater, MC over rap. I got the merch store up. So yeah, man, I'm trying to get the ball rolling again with, some of the, the things I have to offer in terms of my art.
How big is those sweaters coming, yo?
Yeah, I got them. Like, I think it comes in at least 2XL, up to 2XL. I gotta look again, but yeah, about 2XL.
You gotta make them bigger for fat people, bro.
Okay, got it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna look into the inventory to see if they go up to 3XL, man. But yeah, man, that's what's going on with me. It's always a pleasure to build with y'all. Anything y'all want to share? Just what's going on with y'all, like You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? But I figure I put it out there.
Nah, well,
But-
normally I say no, but
all right.
shout out to my son Brandon, young king.
Oh,
He just turned 11, so he's a
Okay,
Scorpio
okay.
too. So can't
Okay.
forget about him.
Okay, happy birthday, man. Happy
So,
birthday, little man. Yeah.
yeah. So
Word.
that's it.
Wow.
That's about it.
That's what's up, man.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Congrats, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, time flies. Whew. Time flies.
For real, man.
And
It's
also
great.
keep the rebranding essay lifted up. You know what I'm saying? I've already started it. I started it earlier this year, but it's a book idea I'm working on right now. It's called The Rebranding.
Nice.
Mm.
I love it. What is it about? If you care to share.
It's the rebranding of hip hop.
Mm.
Okay.
It's basically everything that you guys. This is
Interesting
actually
title. I'm curious to know more.
This is actually the great. This is great feeding that I have because I can write a whole chapter on ageism now.
Yeah, you telling me,
Yeah,
man.
man.
And the
I look
impact
forward to it, man. I look
on
forward
that.
to it.
Yeah.
And let me know if you need any help in terms of, how to go about getting it published or, I mean, I self-published my book, but, like, getting the book formatted and stuff. Cause right now I'm working to get my book formatted. And hopefully, it'll be done. I formatted it as an ebook first, but now, you got to do a separate format for the actual physical book. So, yeah, let me know if you need help, along the way with that, man. But I'm proud of you, man. That's good to hear, man.
Yeah, man.
You have a lot to share, especially
everybody-
when it comes to this culture.
Everybody putting in work. I love it. Everybody putting in work.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Word, man. So, shout out to all of the people that tuned in tonight. Shout out to Solutions and anyone else who has tuned in. Really appreciate y'all. If you are catching this show, after the live and you have comments about the album, the Kings of Three album, the KD3 album, feel free to leave comments, man, like on any of the stuff that we talked about today in regards to the album. Let's keep the conversation going. I know a lot of times we'll do these lives, especially when it comes to like our King's Disease reviews. It might not be a lot of people catching the live, but then later on the comments be rolling in and stuff. So so I look forward to hearing people's feedback. Yeah.
Word.
Dope.
Yes, man. But again,
to
man,
be
it was yes, man. And like I'm gonna be honest, man. Like I had thought about doing shows within the last few months, but man, like I said, life has gotten so busy for me. Other priorities, work related stuff that just took a lot of my time. Spending a lot of time with family and really just refocusing on that was important for me. So yeah, gradually I'm trying to get back in the swing of this, man. But I think we could at least say probably before the end of the year we'll do another episode where we do the best albums of the year, our favorite albums of the year. But yeah, y'all always are welcome to let me know like what topics y'all want to talk about, and that we can make that happen if if it all works. So yeah,
Definitely, man.
yeah, man. So man, much love to y'all, man. I know Thanksgiving is coming up. So y'all all be safe, enjoy. I'll probably see you A-level, but Mark, man, enjoy, man.
Listen,
stay
I
safe
would-
out there
I-
with the family.
We gotta make
Holidays is coming.
Favorite holiday, yeah.
gotta make a road trip one of these days, man.
Yeah, we gotta get together for real. Yeah,
That'd be dope.
we do we could do a live version of Out the Box, man.
Right, from the beach.
But we all in person, man. We can do it. I got the
Exactly.
I got the roadcaster, so
Oh yeah, I know you.
that's
you
possible.
you
You know what I mean?
nice
So
with it, yeah.
just let us know when you come out this way, man. And
Oh,
we can
yeah,
make that happen. We
yeah.
can plan that. That would be dope.
Right, same physical space. I love it.
Yeah, I would be down to make that happen, man. For real.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yep.
yeah,
Time
no
will
pressure,
come,
but
time will
whatever.
come.
Yeah. But man, again, man, thank y'all again for rocking with me tonight, and thank you to all the viewers and all who have checked out the show and those who will be checking out the show after the live. So, A-Level, I'm gonna let you get us out of here, man. Do your thing.
Yes, y'all. What happened to Peace?
Peace.
Peace.
We out of here.
Oh man.